Okay, this is kind of a reminder video of how to draw your elevations. Now, of course, we've got two sheets of paper on the table here. I've got the sheet of paper that I'm transferring my elevation to. I've got my floor plan that I'm going to base my geometry off of, and then I'm going to transfer my geometry from. So as you see here, I've already gotten started. What I do, now this house, this wall that I'm looking at, now I'm basically taking this floor plan, this house, and I'm flipping it up to where I can see the front of the house just like this. And I'm going to mark the edges of each wall, each feature, each door, each window, each corner. Okay, so over here we have the far right edge of the house, and basically I just transfer that down below here. Also have a window, so I'm definitely going to draw that line, bring that all the way down onto the new sheet of paper. I'm going to draw the other side of the window. Okay, so I'm lining all this up. And I'm going to draw the edge of this short portion of wall, okay, because I have to indicate that on the drawing that is kind of a separation there. This right here is a patio, so I'm not worried about that. Not really a patio, but a front. Well, yeah, it is a patio, something like that. I don't recall what it was that I wanted that to be. Anyway, bringing the door down. Okay, bringing the door down. Okay, bringing this window right here down. And then bringing this last edge of the building down. Okay, so from there, of course, if I want to, you don't have to if you don't want to, if you think it's going to mislead you or whatever, but I just kind of move my floor plan, just leave it loose up there. I use it as a reference to remember what stuff is down here. Now, of course, here I got a window, and a door, and then, of course, these are the wall edges that I see. Now, I just kind of pick a spot down here and draw my foundation, or draw the bottom of the wall, basically. All right, and I also, this is a master bedroom window, and using my 1/4 inch scale, I know that I need to, bring that up off that window up off the ground, and typically, between within like 42 inches of the ground is where that window sill should be. And I'm of course going to always fall within that because I typically like my windows a little bit lower. And this one, of course, I set at just a little above 24 inches or 2 feet. Okay, so I drew that line right there, or actually I just marked it originally. And I came over here and I marked my door. My door needs to be 6 foot 8 inches. So 6 foot, there is 6 foot 6 inches. So I just kind of nudged right up a little above that, put a mark. This window is for a laundry area, and I go a little bit higher on this one. I went up to right a little over 3 feet and drew that one. Okay, and then of course I marked everything off. Drew the after marking it off, I drew in the lines to represent the windows and the doors that I could see. And this is up to you if you want your doors. Your doors 6 foot 8 inches. If you want your windows all across the front to line up with that, or if you want to be higher or whatever, it doesn't matter. It just depends. It's your design. I typically like the look of having my windows and doors all on the same level as far as the top of my door and the tops of my windows. Now, of course, I can make it look a little bit more, like the front of a house by erasing some of my construction lines. Now, of course, my walls are 8 feet tall on this particular house. For residents, that's 8 feet is pretty standard for anything really, even commercial. But using my 1/4 inch scale, I'm going to measure out 8 feet and just put a mark at 8 feet. Now, some residential walls, even commercial walls, can go up to 10 feet. Usually, you see them somewhere between 8 and 10 feet in most cases. Okay, so that's the top of my walls right there. Okay, the next thing I'll have is an eave. Your homes for residents usually always have an eave that kind of overhangs from the roof. if you go home to your house and you'll kind of look up when you're walking in, you'll see that overhang from where your roof kind of overhangs the rest of the house. And that's typically about 6 inches. It could vary. Okay, so I'm going to mark it, put a mark here at 6 inches. And that's what we call the fascia, okay? Because it faces you. We call it a fascia. All right, so that's the fascia of the house, of where the roof comes down. Now this part, of course, because there is an eave on the home, we do extend this a little bit. And it depends, you know, anywhere from 6 inches to 2 feet I've seen for eaves. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a 1 foot eave. That just seems to be a pretty easy number to work with. So I mark 1 foot that extends over each side, and I just can continue this drawing of the fascia to that little dot. Okay. And then do both the lower line and the upper line. So now you have this, and you can kind of close each end off. That one's a little off. Like so. And then of course you'll have a roof that's on top of that. Of course here, because the eave extends further than the edge of the house, we kind of erase this little piece of construction line that marks the side of that wall. Okay, so then we show a true eave that sticks over. Now here, remember, these two pieces of the house stick out, and this one kind of recesses in. That also has an overhang of an eave, so we actually have to go back and measure a foot beyond each one of these edges here. And as you see here, this is how that wall goes. So it would have that 1 foot overhang also going all the way around. So we'll mark that as well. So mark that at 1 foot. Mark this one at 1 foot. Okay, and that'll kind of come together, and you can see that a little better once you actually put the roof on the house. You'll see that. Okay, so that indicates, that's right there where that edge is. Okay, so here's the edge of the wall, and then the overhang for the roof will kind of go right up through there. Okay, this is the finished product. Okay, and as you can see, it's you know, the front of my house, and on this sheet I can put 2 elevations, the front of my house, and then of course I'll probably put a side. Make sure you start low enough on your paper with one of your elevations so that you leave room for a second elevation on that same page. I probably should have brought mine down just a little bit further. Now again, I'm going to show you a couple things here. Remember on your elevation levels here, we indicate the elevation line by using what we call a center line, and that's a short dash, long dash, short dash, long dash, short dash type of line. Bring it out far enough to put your text in here. Make sure you end that line with a circle with those quadrants colored in to the upper left and lower right quadrant. Make sure that they are perfectly aligned. Okay, one on top of the other. Same with your text. Make sure your text is all left justified, meaning that it all is based on that left line, that left side. And then of course make sure that they are also right on top of one another, you know, perfectly aligned. Now too, I have more up here because I have a roof level now. All right, and this says top of roof 2 because I have 2 roof heights, and I'll show you the other one in just a second. But this is my second roof height. Just remember on your lettering that you have 1/8 of an inch. You have 1/8 of an inch lettering, and 1/16 of an inch gap between each each line of text, and also any other object. Always leave a 1/16 of an inch gap. Over here, this is my roof number 2. I mean my roof level number 1. It says top of roof 1. And basically I chose to line this one up right here with the side of the wall. Always find something to line up your symbols with so that everything looks nice and clean and precise. Okay, and same thing with lettering, lining that up and everything else. Now, of course, your roof heights are going to be very dependent upon the distance between two walls. Here, the distance is shorter than it is over here, so its roof actually comes out a little bit shorter than the roof does over here. Okay. And also, the last thing you do, or last symbol we have, is our roof slope symbol. So this is basically a kind of a triangle drawn with 1/16 of an inch gap away from the roof. Text 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch gap between the text and the symbol. My roof is a 12/12, which is a very sharp slope. You're going to actually draw yours at a 6/12, which will be about half of this slope. Okay, and then of course any questions after that you can ask me. I've got one other little thing here in my title block. I made an extra square, which is right over here at the bottom right, and it says E-1 for elevation-1 or elevation page 1, and there'll be two. I'll have 2 elevation pages. If I have a third one, then I'll have an E-3 for the third elevation page. Okay, so all I did there is I just drew a line down the middle of my that last block, or that last text line of my title block, and put in that E1 right next to my date. Okay. All right. Any questions, just ask.